some, it's a sporting leisure. For others, it's borderline addiction. What are we discussing today? Gambling. At the heart of this motion is everything betting and gambling. I'll move straight to read the motion, and the motion of dissection reads: the government's crackdown on betting sites to curb the gambling problem in Kenya will prove unsuccessful if financial literacy programs are not introduced to the youth at an early age. I'll repeat the motion again. The government's crackdown on betting sites to curb the gambling problem in Kenya will prove unsuccessful if financial literacy programs are not introduced to the youth at an early age. Proposing and opposing this motion is Nova Tatu girls versus Nova Tatu boys. All the best to both teams.
Suppose you have a leak in the roof. Putting a bucket there will collect the water for some time being, but this is a short-term solution because the bucket will soon overflow with water and your house will be flooded. That's why I, as Eddie Francis, strongly propose the motion that the government crackdown on betting sites to curb gambling problems in Kenya will prove unsuccessful if financial literacy programs are not introduced to the youth at an early age. But first of all, let me define some of the key frameworks that we're going to be using in this debate. First and foremost, what is gambling? This is the act of participating in a game of chance. And what is financial literacy programs? This is educational activities aimed at improving individuals' understanding of financial concepts, principles, and practices. Basically, we are going to teach them how to make money, how to save money, and how to make the money grow. Yes, this is the whole essence of implementing financial literacy. But in order to ensure that our youth's lives are not flooded with burdens such as debt, with burdens such as mental health disorders because they do not have money, we suggest that, that we should impose financial literacy programs in each and every single school in a way that this will be mandatory in each school. This becomes part of the curriculum so that by the time you are growing, you understand the importance of money, how to make it, how to save it, and how to make it grow, and how to make it work for you. Ladies and gentlemen, do you know that a study done by Geopol in 2019 shows that not one, not two, not three, but 76% of the Kenyan youth partake in gambling activities? This is absurd. But ladies and gentlemen, a country like Japan, a country with one of the most respectable cultures in terms of money usage, they have been able to curb this. How? Because they understood that implementation of financial literacy programs into their curriculum was essential. Because as we can see, a study done by the Global Financial Literacy Excellence shows that, that they have one of the lowest debt rates and they have one of the lowest gambling rates. Why? Because they were able to implement these financial literacy programs into their schools. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to understand that gambling is not just a problem. Gambling is a mental health disorder. Or as WHO would describe it, gambling is a disorder of behavioral addiction. This means, ladies and gentlemen, I will not just bet because I don't have money. I will bet because I am addicted to the feeling of dopamine, the rush that I get every time I win 1,000 bob, because every time I win 1,000 shillings and I invested only 10. Imagine that. So ladies and gentlemen, what you don't realize is that in the long run, you're going to actually lose more. Because you know what? A study done by FSD Kenya shows that 97% of gambling addicts, when they were showed their transactions and their transcripts on how much they're spending on gambling sites, they wish that they never partook in it. Because what they realize is that I might have invested only 10 shillings once and gotten 1,000 bob, but in the long run, I had invested 1,500. So I am going at a loss. Yes, they realize that, that the house always wins. And ladies and gentlemen, the only way that our youth, and we are going to be able to curb this problem, the only way that our youth are going to realize how big of a problem gambling is if we teach them how to grow their money, how to make the money, and how to make it work for them. Because this is the only way. Because if we only put incentives up, which is going to limit how they're going to access these gambling sites, they are going to find other ways to access it. And this time, we won't have the legal jurisdiction to limit what they're going to do. Are we, panel? We are not going to be able to do that. That is why, as a team proposition, we say, you know what? Remove the bucket and fix the roof leak. Yes, let us implement the use of financial literacy programs in each and every single school so that we can teach the youth the importance of financial literacy and the importance of saving and not gambling. Thank you.
My name is Darlene Nyambura from Nova Pioneer Tatu Girls, and I am here to strongly oppose to the motion that states the government's crackdown on betting sites to curb gambling problem in Kenya will prove unsuccessful if financial literacy programs are not introduced to the youth at an early age. So I'm going to start with definitions. A government is a system of group of people governing a general community in a general state. Betting is the activity of risking money, losing something over making a deal with someone. A site is a set of web pages under a single domain. Financial literacy is a cognitive understanding of financial components or skills like investing and budgeting. To curb is to slowly eradicate. Gambling is a decision made by a person to risk money or gain money as a game. The examples of betting sites are Betika, Oxygen 8, Moheza, and the famous SportsPesa. Gambling was used in the traditional days as a game the Luo called Ajua, which was just played for fun and entertainment. But now in our homeland, Kenya, gambling has certainly become a problem to our Kenyan youth. From an article on CTGN Africa Media House, 76% of our youth are actively involved in betting, whereas 54% of these youth are low-income earners from betting. To start, from the East Africa News, headlines, Protecting the Future. The impact of Kenya's Gambling Control Bill. The Kenyan Gambling Control Bill of 2023 is still being discussed by our government, as the last discussion was made on the 20th of March 2024, as it wants to create a new organization called Gambling Regulatory Authority, which will take over the BCLB, Betting Control and Licensing Board. The main goal is to manage betting sites, as it will introduce tough rules to fight against illegal gambling and stop kids from gambling. It will also set a low amount for bets to prevent people from gambling too much, as from Geopol statistics show that 83.9% of Kenyan youth engage in such. It also plans to stop gambling ads on radios and TV at certain times to protect the youth and young people to be exposed to gambling too much. Other countries like Brazil are depending on Kenyan efforts, as Brazil is also trying to do the same. It has carried out measures like imposing tax of 15% on big winnings by gamblers, which will demoralize them. I mean, if 15% of your earnings from gambling is taken as tax, and you've won 10 million plus, won't you lose a lot of money from taxation? Financial literacy isn't the only form possible, as it also has its downsides. From Sky Space, people with high levels of financial literacy tend to take too many risks, overborrow, and hold naive financial attitudes, which can lead to reckless behavior in certain financial aspects. We have certain alternatives. The gambling crackdown by the government will prove successful if the government reduces their marketing strategies through the main route of betting sites, which is technology. Tell me you haven't seen an advertisement of a betting site on social media, on Google or Safari. Betting sites ad is everywhere on social media, painted on commercial buses. What if the government limits these marketing strategies? Won't the gambling problem be eradicated slowly? I'm not saying gambling won't exist. It will still be there, but it will be there in a low rate. Currently, the front page of every newspaper in the country's highlights that will only currently, the front page of every newspaper in the country highlights that with only 10 shillings, I could win 350 million, which is the current jackpot for SportsPesa. I was your first speaker from the opposing side, signing off.
Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. These are the great words of Nelson Mandela. Today I'll start my debate with the rebuttals, then I'll go into our key arguments. I'm Clyde Codex, here to strongly propose the motion at hand today. Into my first rebuttal. They talked about 50% of the youth are low-income earners. Yes, 50% of the youth are low-income earners, but they use this money on betting sites due to the lack of knowledge on effective ways to use their money. They lack the financial literacy that they need to combat these problems. They also talked about 76% of the youth partake in gambling. Yes, this is a problem we have, panel. It's true. 76% of our youth partake in gambling because they were not exposed to the financial literacy that they need in order to evade such problems such as this. They also talked about people who are financially literate tend to take many risks. But as our first proposer came on stage and talked about, he gave you of the up part of how people who are financially literate are able to combat these problems. Team opposition forgot that these betting companies look for loopholes in the government, look for spaces which they can use offshore accounts to start these betting companies. The problem is not solved by stopping the advertisements. As our first proposer came on stage and talked about how these people in gambling are also addicted to this. We all know an addiction cannot be solved by only stopping certain things. Because these people who are addicted, they'll find more and more solutions to solve the problems. We as side proposition, we're trying to impose a curriculum where people are taught about financial literacy at an early age, as early as the primary level in the CBC programs. Into my first argument, financial literacy, empowering and informing decision making. Financial literacy provides individuals the knowledge that they need to combat the problems that they're facing. They're less likely to partake in the gambling since they know the risk that goes hand in hand with the gambling. The financially literate people know how to grow, earn, and save their money. The financial sector depending Kenya, FDF Kenya, found only 38% of Kenyans are financially literate. This means that 62% of Kenyans lack the knowledge that they need. This gives room for gambling operators to exploit vulnerable citizens. The vulnerable citizens that are on the low income side of this debate. Into my second argument. We can talk about how these financially literate people have earned their way in certain places, such as Canada. Canada has imposed duties such as the Canada Financial Fund by employing gambling and stopping the gambling acts, solving SDG number 11. We can also talk about how this act as a preservative measure. When you educate these people, you stop them from suffering the consequences that are ahead of them. These people have the knowledge. They know the downsides of betting and gambling. So we're solving the long-term problem by giving them the education they need. We're also solving SDG number 4, which is adequate education. When you give these people the education they need, they get a long-term solution. So investing in financial literacy today is an investment in a healthier, more financial, resilient society tomorrow. Thank you very much, panel, for your time.
My name is Tiffany Mwangi from the Nova Tatu Girls, and I'm here to strongly oppose the motion that says that the government crackdown of betting sites will prove unsuccessful if financial literacy programs are not introduced to the youth at an early age. I would like to highlight a very key term in the motion, if. If gives us another alternative. If means that it's not a must for us to use the financial literacy programs. We need to be strategic on how we shall attack this gambling system, on how we shall attack these betting sites. So I would like to rebut one of the points that was mentioned by the second speaker from the proposing side, mentioning that we need to give our citizens knowledge. If I do not agree with them that we need to give our citizens knowledge, but let us look at the bigger factor affecting the current youths, affecting the current people in our country. It is lack of employment opportunities. I might be having the financial literacy. I might be knowing how to invest or how to do this and do that, but I have no way of earning an income. I am unemployed, which leads me to being dependent on the gambling side. So if the government can be able to create an employment opportunities to our youth, they can be able to create their own financial income and to have a stable way of earning income. I would like to highlight, according to Financial Literate, Global Financial Literacy Survey states that, like most African countries, Kenya has an alarming low financial literate levels. So how do you mean to tell me that we shall curb this problem if we are already having a low financial literate level? No, we need to be strategic. We need to fight this vice as soon as possible. If I stay in a class just to learn about investments, just to learn how to save, that is wasting time. We need to curb this vice immediately. We need to curb this vice immediately. And how shall we do that? This shall be done through creating job opportunities by the government. Let us take a sector like agriculture. According to Job Outlook, states that there is a decline of 2% from the year 2019 to 2022, indicating that there is a need for labor, for agricultural sector. If we take these young youth who are unemployed to the agricultural sector, they shall be able to earn an income, and they will not be reliant on the betting sites. Because why are they reliant on the betting sites? They are reliant because they're lacking an employment opportunity. They are lacking a chance to serve our country. And if we are able to create an employment opportunity for them, they are serving our country and they will earn a stable financial income. The gambling crackdown by the government will also prove successful if the government limits marketing strategies. Currently in our country, all of us can see that majority of the commercial buses, I mean the Embasava circles, the forward circles, you can clearly see Betika on the sides, on the buses. This is creating a huge market demand. But the government can be strategic on how they approach this problem rather than just a financial literacy. They can be able to limit the market strategies. They can be able to limit the market strategy. Also by them eradicating social media advertising. Betting sites are mainly mushroomed through the social media. If the government is strategic enough to attack these betting sites through the roots, of which the roots are the social media platforms, we can be able to curb this problem. But by just attacking it through the financial literate, it's just attacking the vice through the stem. But we need to be strategic. We need to move fast, and this is how we shall be able to curb the gambling system in Kenya. I was the second speaker, Tiffany Mwangi from Nova Tatu Girls. Thank you.
Is it enough to simply address the symptoms of gambling addiction, or should we focus on preventing it altogether? Let that question sink in. Today I stand as the final speaker of the winning side of this debate today to crystallize the debate and show you why we win this debate. Now, their side might have thought they ate, but I'm here to tell you they left some crumbs. First, 3 clashes in this debate. We see the clash of effectiveness of financial literacy versus the effectiveness of unemployment. Now, they came here and said that if we pose things such as tough sanctions, things such as limiting the marketing and very tough regulations, we will solve the problem by limiting the supply. But one thing they've done is they've only addressed the supply. But what about the demand side? Because demand is what creates supply. You see that even if you limit these gambling companies, even if you ban them, like the case we saw in 2019 where SportPesa was banned, what happens? Other gambling companies come in to fill the void. And again, you can't ban gambling as a whole in Kenya. It is not illegal. We came here and told you about the ineffectiveness of crackdown alone, which was said by my second speaker. We see that these betting companies are adaptable. They find legal loopholes to again exploit these people. We see that even gambling activities, even if you ban them, they'll still persist. Because again, in the case of SportPesa, which was banned, what happened? We got Betika, we got Aviator, we got all these new betting sites. So the gambling activity is still maintained even after the crackdown. And we saw that even if you ban it in Kenya, it's not banned in all these other countries outside the world. We see that they can still have offshore accounts and they can still maintain their platforms online, which is again one of the most common platforms where gambling occurs. And again, they made a mischaracterization of the main problem here. What is the main thing facing the gambling problem? The demand, it's gambling addiction. Because even if you ban these companies, the gambling addiction will still be the underlying issue. These people go seek gambling from gambling, they'll go seek to achieve this urge outside the legal framework, which is even leading them to more exploitation. These people outside the eye of the government will even have a situation where they're selling their own lives. Why? Because the government is not even able to regulate this because it is illegal. But our side, we come here and tell you that by giving them financial literacy, what happens? One, it's like a vaccine. We tell you that you're not even, the law of gambling, the law of quick gains does not even become a problem. Because from an early age, you know that for me to make money, I have to work. Why? Because from an early age, you know that money does not just grow on trees. Money has to be invested, money has to be grown, and money has to be reaped. They come and say the main problem is unemployment. But friends, it's not unemployment. We're here to tell you it is the addiction. It is the lure of this quick gain. Even though unemployment is a problem in Kenya, we must address what is going on right now. They address the immediate impact. Unemployment might be a problem, but these people still need financial literacy. Because even those who are employed still engage in gambling. And the problem is not gambling, the problem is The problem is the gambling addiction. Financial literacy programs and empower these people through education. They teach them how to invest their money. They teach them how to realize the risks of gambling, and they teach them again how to evade and not even find themselves in the situation where they are gambling. Regardless of the supply, if demand is solved, we will not have a problem in Kenya today. Thank you.
I would like to start us off by rebattling the points that the third speaker has said. The first one being the main problem is addiction. Yes, we do agree. When you're gambling, you tend to get addicted. Actually, 1 out of 5 gambling people are in the Gamblers Anonymous Association. What does this mean? That these people are so into gambling that they have gone to other methods to seek rehabilitation. Yes, we do agree. You are saying at an early age, yes, financial literacy programs will help us, but at an early age, what about the people who are addicted now? What are we going to do for those people? Are we simply going to throw them into the dust? Are we going to say that simply because they are not young, they are no use to the Kenyan economy? No, that is wrong. What we need to do is to be able to reach out these financial literacy programs also to the older people, to the people who are past their youth. What about the 50-year-old man who is trying to come up for school fees for his children? Do we ignore him and his gambling problems? No, we should not. We should spread out these financial literacy programs also to the elderly, to the people who are already well off, to the people who are struggling. That is what we should do. Now let me move on to my points. Do you understand that gambling is a bit dangerous? Yes, my first and second speaker, and actually the opposing team has also said that. Do you understand what goes on behind the curtains? All of us are Kenyan here. I would like to assume all of us are Kenyan citizens. So we understand that corruption is one of the main problems that we go through. That is a criminal activity. What other criminal activities go on in Kenya? We need to stop acting like corruption is the only one. One of them is money laundering. These activities tend to go on behind the stages. What is this? This is increasing criminal activities. If me, you, and you are all in gambling, this gives the gambling sites, the betting sites, opportunities to be able to hide, to launder their money. Next. Demand for gambling. This is also another rebuttal, sorry. You said that once we do remove the gambling problem, there'll still be people, there'll still be the demand. Why can't we come up with other forms of entertainment? The demand for gambling in Kenya has actually come from the idleness of Kenyan citizens. What if we gave them something else to resort to? I crochet, I don't gamble. Is that wrong? No. So why are we acting like the demand for gambling can't be satisfied with other needs? There are ways that you can fix this. There are programs you can go to, there are associations you can join. Please let us move on to other forms. Please, I beg of you, because this motion is not something that we should debate for fun. This is not something that the debate circle have come up with because they were sitting down and said, what can we do? This is a problem that is going on. These are things that Kenyan citizens are facing. We need to come up with solid and sound-minded solutions. That is what we need to do. So as I take my seat, I would like all of you to understand that gambling is a real problem in Kenya, and the crackdown of it is going to help solve this problem. My name is Rain Komu, and I was strongly opposing the motion that was stated. Thank you.
We cannot cure a problem by the same level of thinking that we had while creating it. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot reiterate the fact that gambling addiction is a mental health disorder, as stated by the WHO. Ladies and gentlemen, these people, the only reason why gambling or these gambling sites have such a large market is because of the demand for it. So the youth need to be taught. The youth need to be taught why gambling is wrong. They need to be taught that, you know what, I can get this dopamine spike not from gambling, but also from seeing my goals set, seeing myself save and actually buy something using my own money. Ladies and gentlemen, even if we put incentives down, even if we put parameters so that the youth will not access these sites or even these gambling activities, ladies and gentlemen, we have to understand that I am addicted. What does this mean? I will find other ways to satisfy my need. I will find other ways to get this dopamine strike. If it means I will go to my neighbor and bet my life away, I will do that. Why? Because I am addicted. Yes, we have to understand that, ladies and gentlemen, that the only way we can curb this problem is by teaching them. Education is the key. And in this sense, it actually is, because gambling is a rampant problem. 76% of the youth in Kenya partake in gambling activities, as shown by the Geopol survey. So, ladies and gentlemen, we cannot continue thinking the same way we have been thinking the whole past. We will not solve the problem. We need to change our perspective. We need to turn to financial literacy. Thank you very much.
I would like to highlight to the proposing team stating that gambling is an addiction. Yes, I do not deny that gambling is an addiction, but let's say if I still have this financial literacy program and I was addicted, doesn't this mean that I will be able to return back to the old ways? Addiction is caused by idleness. An idle mind is the devil's workshop. And what is the devil that we're trying to curb? It is the betting sites. It is the gambling. But if we are able to create more employment opportunities to the young citizens, we are able to curb this addiction, since there will be more conversant, they will be more busy to the fact that they see gambling as a leisure. According to Las Vegas, 2.8 billion, according to Job Outlook, states that Las Vegas earns 2.8 billion through gambling. Do you mean to tell me that these millionaires who go to the casinos to just do gambling don't have the financial literacy? Yes, they do have the financial literacy, but they take it as more of a leisure time. Hence why I strongly oppose this motion. Thank you.
And we'll move straight to the judges' results for both teams. The judges have awarded Nova Tatu boys with 66.4%. A round of applause, please, for Nova Tatu boys. And the judges have awarded Nova Tatu girls with 66.4%. And we have the first draw of the season. A round of applause, please, for both teams. And ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this debate here at the Debate Circle. It's goodbye from us here. Remember to check our social media handles for more of this conversation. That is on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Instagram, and as well as on YouTube at the Debate Circle. And from us, it's Kwaheri. I've been your host, Jenna Ching.